The title of Metaspore is derived from the actual spore, which is a microscopic biological particle that is actually sort of used to distribute, for fungi. And it functions kind of like seeds in the plant world. And so, I thought it was a really apt metaphor for inoculation, in the way that art can inoculate, our minds and inoculate our bodies in a way as well, especially when you're, working with different kinds of materials that you might have to metabolize. But it's also extending into this realm of swarm intelligence and collective intelligence, in the way that spores move to create this sort of, this network, which is sort of like a hyphae. And a hyphae is essentially the root of a mushroom. And in other words, it's sort of like the fungal internet. And so I thought that was a really great way to think about art, and the way that we would sort of distribute this collective swarm intelligence. And looking back over 10, 11, 12 years of my practice, I have thought of the ideas as sort of sporulating, in this way, and extending through time and space. And I think it's an apt way to think about what is traditionally considered a survey show. I think I like to foreground these different time scales. Time scales can actually be like a medium in the work itself. So, when we're looking at, microbial, activity, we're thinking about billions and billions of years, and microbial time scales that are analogous to geological time scales. I think the idea is for us to sort of, zoom out from our human exceptionalism and thinking about only strictly in terms of human timescales, and thinking about these different timescales that we share on the planet, with other biological entities, as well as, residues of our physical, ecological environment surrounding us, and that impacts us. In the show, we have these algae laminated lamps, and algae, as we know, is the largest biomass on the planet, and it's really one of the earliest signs of life on the planet, in the form of cyanobacteria. And of course, cyanobacteria gives us the oxygen that we need in order to survive on this planet. So there's this kind of like a wonderful kind of, sort of harmonious accommodation and balance of different timescales. And I think that it allows me to think about, my sort of role and symbiotic relationship to all other living forms on the planet. I am guided and activated by a full spectrum of the sensorium versus, just something ocular and just through pure vision. I want to be able to taste it. I want to be able to touch it. I want to be able to smell it and hear it, and as well as to see it. And so the materials themselves, really just start to become activated once you can, just think about the entire sensorial spectrum versus only one aspect that you're trying to engage or have a relationship to. There are certain moments where you can only experience something when you are smelling it, and then it goes away after a while. So there's this sort of kind of, this dance with lots of different materials that, again, plays with these time scales, plays with this, kind of radical presence. Sometimes a lot of kind of incongruent materials start to become combined and juxtaposed, and sometimes even a kind of broken logic, if you will, where materials resist each other, and like oil and water, and chemically they don't make a lot of sense. And that's where things start to get interesting with art, because maybe when you are sort of free from any kind of utility or function, then you're free to experiment with a certain kind of unexplored realm. And so the perishability really came at a very, very early stage in my practice. And I think instinctively, without making an overt political statement, I was just resisting the monumentality of art, that art should exist for, centuries, well after, the artist is gone and all humans are gone or something, that we have these relics. And I think that it's coming back to time. It forces us to be here right now, and all we have is the present, rather than thinking about the future, far future, and thinking about the deep past, because we don't really have to focus on that too much. It's all around us. The deep past is here with us wherever we go, in the form of scent molecules from millennia's past, from the Jurassic period to the Cretaceous period. It never really goes away. So the past is always with us, and that constitutes the present, really. Winograscape panels is sort of a tableau from site-specific source soil. And we add cellulose and sulfuric acid to the soil. And what happens is it encourages bacterial growth, and it creates these textures and colors, much like an abstract painting or a landscape painting. And what I find fascinating about this is that we collected this local soil in Milan, and we see the aerobic and anaerobic bacteria that are reacting in the vitrines, and that gives it the wonderful pigmentation and these wonderful sort of gradient sort of textures. And we have these sensors that are also detecting the gas and the air, that sort of pockets that are forming inside of the vitrines, and that also sort of kind of functions as a sort of a detection of a heartbeat of the microbial activity and the microbial life. So we know that there is living microorganisms in these vitrines. And what fascinates me about this is that it extends my fascination into microbial research, but also it then becomes this sort of portrait of the region, of the local ecosystem of Milan, and the people and the creatures that create this sort of this place. And this becomes this kind of almost sort of like microscopic portrait of the city, and it's essentially a kind of love letter to Milan.